We are live.
We are live, alive and live.
It's gonna
So,
come up in a moment. You got it's a delay. All
a
right.
little bit of.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're ready to roll. So,
Yeah, man.
welcome to our latest edition of TNT.
Boom,
Boom.
boom, boom.
With the great Michael LaMelle the first. I am Pastor Joe. And as always, we are super excited about another edition, another episode, another opportunity to connect with you, however you may be viewing us on your social media devices.
Indeed,
We are
indeed,
excited about you and the
indeed,
interaction that we're going to have tonight.
indeed. Man, I so yeah, we are picking up after the behind the eight ball, so to speak. But I just got turned around a couple of times today. Uh, but I left my iPad at the barbershop and was trying to get an edge up and then get my truck looked at with the starter was won't start. So just kind of a myriad of things. And I'm leaving my iPad as I was trying to do my have some notes, and my Bible apps are on there. And left it. I left the bag. I had some books in there, my cords, my power cords. Wow. So we will make make do, for it was all there. I was still compiling some notes for that Ezer Connecto, and yeah, there you have it. So, can somebody turn the heat off?
I mean, we always will.
That is true, so very true, my dear brother. And I have the thing set up though with my laptop and ready to do some of this trivia. Like we could dive right into it and then have our conversation kind of continue through that as we have done in the past so eloquently. Um, and I
Sure,
will
let's do
promise to have my notes and everything back. I was a little delayed because I went back there to try to find it and be able to
right,
have that. And
right,
of course, everyone is gone for the day. There's one barber. He said, yeah, they left. So
right.
people are booming in. Let's see, Ramona, Sean McCarthy, uh, Mimi's the day, Ashley, and yeah. So thank you guys for booming in with us. Pastor is going to pick something from the whole Bible or the Old Testament specifically, or just the New Testament, and then we're going to test our Bible merit and knowledge and see how that goes. We have a talk to God about it. Howard Lamel says yes. Want to talk to him about it, which is actually a great premise, a great thing to do, a precept even. And we should move into the area of it being a precept and not a concept, so
Yes,
that
sir.
we have it fundamentally in our being to do just that, to talk to God about things and to actually leave things with Him and not return and pick them up. We have a
Yep.
tendency for the cause of familiarity to hold on to things, whether they be detrimental, toxic. Um, the familiarity eclipses red flags or things that would normally make us turn and run or shun certain things. Familiarity makes us kind of repeat the same thing. It's cyclical. And unfortunately,
Right.
um, when lessons happen, I was saying this earlier, that lessons happen for us to pass them, right? And they will keep
Yep.
happening until you pass that, right? So
Yep.
uh, I'm charging myself to leave it. I literally just found out about this as TNT was supposed to start, hopped in the truck, went back over there. It started, thank God, and I went to see and came right back and and then just left it there. So that's a good practice to have to leave it there.
Okay, now
Yes. Your burdens. Why are they burdens? Why are they burdens anyway, preacher? Like, tell me. If our mind is convinced that the Most High is who is the author of our faith, like the book is written for it already, then why do we not operate in that faith that He has authored? Mm.
I don't really have issues trusting God.
Hmm.
I think that my issue is trusting myself, and
Mm.
that my struggle is, did I put myself in a bad position? Have I done my due diligence
Mm.
so that God will do His? And I think the growth for me is that His grace is greater than all of our sin. And
Whew.
so even when we mess up, it's not an excuse, right? To be uh to not be good stewards or to be
Hmm.
unfruitful, right? But even when we are jacked up, He still has enough grace, wisdom, understanding, knowledge to make up the difference for wherever we screwed up. And a lot of times, I think for me, man, again, it's like, man, you know, like let's just say like financially, okay, you're gonna have X amount of dollars, right? I try to, be a giver, make sure the family's taken care of, boom, 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 boom. And then it's like, well, if there's not enough money, it's not that God didn't provide or won't provide. My check is, did you do something? Did you did you did you overspend? Were you
Hmm.
unfaithful? Were you unfruitful? And
Yeah.
that's why there's this need. And then the check again. The check is, did you put yourself in this position? And like
Yeah.
I said, the grace that I feel like I'm growing in is not to excuse bad behavior
Right. Right.
or
Right. Right.
irresponsible behavior, but to understand that God is greater than my frailties.
Yes.
Did put
Yes.
myself in that situation, which would be a
Yes.
burden, right? That would be
Right.
a burden. If I did something wrong, then of course it's a burden. That's not something He put on me. That's something me put on me, right?
Yes.
So it's a burden. So um, being able to kind of navigate that, I think is an area where I'm maturing. I'm growing.
I like it. Do you think
Right.
that do you think that you when you examine yourself, do you give yourself the same measure of grace that God you are saying to us that God extends to you? Are you able
Yes.
to do that? Because that's a
Yeah.
part
I
of
think
that. That's a part of that
that's
growth,
a tough one for
and
me.
it's
I think.
necessary.
Yeah. I think that's a tough one for me.
Right.
Um, because His
Let me
grace
say
is
this.
kind of.
I have this thing where I tell people, I say it at my show sometimes. I made a lamellism about it. Don't take yourself too seriously. because no one else does.
Right.
And in that, I'm trying to say that we should give ourselves grace. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah. All right.
we should. We should. And I think that I would dare say that nobody's grace is approaching his, right? Because
I
his is
agree.
amazing. Um,
Yes.
but yeah, I think that's a little bit of a struggle. I think it comes from a honest place of just trying to, always trying to be the best you, trying to make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do, particularly as a leader, that you're
Hmm.
handling things that you need to handle. Um, but there's going to be shortfalls, and I think
Yes.
that sometimes when you've done all you can, like the song
After
says,
you've done all you can.
you just gotta stand. Hold on, and be sure, and that's part of it. I think for me.
Uh, wow. That's heavy because we want to get it right. We want to do it godly. And I'm wondering if in that press of those things, are we still able to give grace?
Yeah,
There's a scripture, so grace may abound. Like,
right.
I'm just curious. Um, and giving ourselves that measure of grace. Count it all joy, James chapter 1, verse 2, 3, and 4, I think. Count it all joy when you fall into divers different temptations. When your check is not meeting the full measured need of your family, it is a trying of your faith.
Amen.
And the first thing you do, full transparency, you said was check yourself. Did I do this? Did I do that? Sometimes not you, but sometimes in that moment, we even charging God. We're charging everyone. That is kind of the normal tendency. Not again, not you, Pastor, because you started with self, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Right? A normal thing is to outwardly look first, as opposed to starting with self. That's the human thing, and they said in the comments.
Right,
Ruth said because of our human frailties. Howard Lamel
right,
said because
right,
of the humanism. I think all those things are true, and that humanism
right,
provokes us to first, most times, look outwardly. It becomes a finger pointing thing.
right,
This happened because of
right.
you, because of this, because of. When I think wisdom would say, "Did I do that?" Like that, like the move, like Urkel.
Right.
Did I do that? Did I? You know. And so then, when we approach outside of us, we can do it in the spirit of meekness, first considering ourselves. Also, scripture,
Yep.
right? Uh, and that James scripture, knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. Are you patient with yourself? That's the grace I'm talking about. Are you
Right.
patient in the matter? But let patience have a perfect work, verse 4, James chapter 1, verse 4. But let patience have a perfect work, that ye may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing.
It's the book.
If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth
Mm-hmm.
to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. I find myself, and I'm repenting of that, even in this moment right now, of trying to give wisdom. I said couple of weeks ago, that I'm moving forward, not going to be the progenitor of wisdom on people. Like I'm not curating it for people unsolicited. If it's
Right.
unsolicited, mm-mm. And when asked, because the truth doesn't need proof, right? It is or it isn't.
Right.
My charge is simply to communicate it in a way that I know you can pick it up, like
Right.
English language. It's not debatable, and not spend a lot of energy or time with it forthwith. That's for me. Because if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God. He gives it to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. But let him ask in faith. This is the part that I was saying for you in your transparency, for myself. Let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. What are you really asking for?
Right.
And why? Did you really set it all down? That's the faith part, because you're not going to know it.
Right. Right.
You want the wisdom, not the understanding, not the um you want the wisdom of it. And God can impart that. For
Right.
he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea driven with the wind and tossed. For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord. A double minded man
Yes,
is
sir.
unstable in all,
All.
somebody say all, all his
All.
ways. So, uh, what abundance part, Aunt Ruth? Um, I'm not sure which part. There's a degree of latency, so I'm not sure what part of abundance that you were saying. Um, but preacher, what do you think? Old Testament, Clement Jim is in there. Sister Ashley said, "How the lady elect the whole Bible, Old Testament, New Testament." That's the first category breakdown.
Well, let's do all of it.
Okay, the whole
All of
Bible. People,
it.
fill in the blanks. Name of the book, geography, laws. Word meanings, objects, quotes, reasons, statistics and numbers, timeline, books of the Bible, geography and general or word meanings of figures of speech, Old Testament and New Testament.
uh, did you say reasons?
Yes, we've never done that one actually. Would you like to try that? All right. Yes, reasons. A great song. All right. Question number one. How did the Galatians welcome Paul? All right. How did the Galatians welcome Paul? They rejected him at first. They had a feast for him. They received him as an angel of God, or they were skeptical of his teachings. How how did the Galatians welcome Paul? Rejected him at first, had a feast for him, received him as an angel of God, or they were skeptical of his teachings.
Hmm.
And Aunt Ruth, the why pastor is thinking, Aunt Ruth, I'm saying, help you out with what a part. We didn't know what abundance was in reference to as we were speaking, because the text come up, the chat text come up uh after. There's like a little bit of time. Yeah. So we just need to know.
I think that you did you reference abundance in James at the early part? Did you say anything about abundance?
Um my brother encountered all joy when you fall into divers temptations, different, knowing that the triangle of your faith. Let patience have a perfect work, that you may be perfect and entire, wanting nothing. Maybe that's what the wanting nothing, perfect and entire,
Maybe
wanting
that's it.
nothing, which is interesting because how many people do you know, and consider yourself first, that are truly satisfied at any point in their life? Anyone satisfied, perfect, wanting nothing. God has given you the abundance, Lord have mercy, the exceeding abundance, and still it's not enough. Mm, okay.
enough.
The scripture says, if we let patience have her perfect work, then we will be in perfect and entire, wanting nothing. Our desire
Yeah.
is to be have our needs met and desires met, right? Be perfect and entire, and we lack nothing, want nothing. That is we yearn for that, correct?
Yep.
But what most of us don't concede in is the being patient and then letting patience do the work that it's purposed to do.
Right.
We want it right
Exactly.
now. It's a
Perfect.
microwavable society, and
Yeah.
convenience is really contrived in this season. It's not convenience. It is confusion and
Yep.
convoluted, and oftentimes at a greater expense than allowing patients to have a perfect work.
Yep. Indeed.
Man,
The perfect work of patience. Yes.
the what?
The perfect work of
The
patience.
perfect. That's a great title for a sermon. The perfect work of patience.
It is.
And then there's only one line. So there's several lines of what we need to allow patients to work in, and then there's only one line for the answer of allowing patients to do her perfect work.
Right.
And we
Yep.
view these works that we need to allow patients to work in, we view those as reasons to not do it. It's kind of a paradigm, like it's
Right.
oxymoronic even. You know what I mean? The
Yeah.
iron
Right.
is really thick.
Yep.
We have to do this. We shouldn't be patient. We got to do it right now. We don't have enough time to wait. There's not enough time. Time is no man knows the hour. You know what I mean? Life is but a vapor. All
Right.
these reasons um, to not do it, which we can write many of those.
Yep.
The scripture is very clear though in letting patience have her perfect work.
Perfect. Yep.
The perfect work of patience, man. I might have to see that when you do it.
Yes.
I might
It's hitting y'all different.
write my own version. Yeah, it's hitting me too,
You should.
man.
Yep.
So what do you say? The lady select and elect actually said received him as an angel of God. How did the Galatians welcome Paul? They rejected him at first. They had a feast for him. They received him as an angel of God. They were skeptical of his teachings.
Well, I was going to go with received him as an angel of God, and since my wife put that, let's just go with it.
All right. Received him as an angel of God. Your final answer, preacher.
That's what I'm gonna rest on.
All right. Well, it is correct, and that will be found in Galatians 4 and 14. They received him as an angel of God. Good work, Lady Ashley. Uh-huh. She's on it. When Paul wrote First Corinthians, what problem was the church in Corinth experiencing? When
All right.
Paul wrote First Corinthians, he wrote many letters. We talked about that a little bit last
Yes, sir.
week. How many
Yes,
letters would
sir.
America get, and what this letter would be right now, right now, today? What when Paul wrote First Corinthians, the church at Corinth, what problem was the church in Corinth experiencing at that time? Division, worshiping false gods, refusal to let go of the old law, or hatred toward unbelievers. Division, worshiping false gods, refusal to let go of the old law, or hatred toward unbelievers. Division. Okay, we're gonna wait and see what the people say. This is an open book. Pastor is not using open book. Uh,
Yeah.
and Deaconess Karen Scott said all the above. LOL, LOL. Yes, that's
I,
really a safe uh answer because it really in the fullness of it could be those. You know, it could be that.
if it was a choice, that's what I would have picked.
Right. But there's a specific thing in there um which provoked the letter. And then
Yeah.
I think the contents of the letter have of the full of maybe one of both letters have these things in it. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like it's
Yeah.
comprised of it, but
Right.
the provocation for the letter is what we're looking for.
Yep. Okay. Well, that makes sense. I'm going to go with
You
division.
know what I mean?
I think the division. I'm not positive, but that's what I feel.
Because they were divided. What say you, Reverend? He said division also. Let's see. Uh-huh. Ashley Williams said division. And Pastor said division. Let's go with that. He said chapter 1, verse 10. I'm saying First Corinthians 1, and I think the full breadth of it is in verses 11 and 12. Yes, but
Okay.
it's division. Division is the right, correct answer. Division. Yep, I love it. The people
Let
getting in the
yeah.
book, right?
Let there be no division.
Let
Right.
there be no, there it is, schisms and
Right.
division, right? That part.
Right.
What? All right, question number 3. We're on a roll. What made Solomon declare that he hated life? Okay, what made Solomon declare that he hated, excuse me, hated life? He felt abandoned by God. He felt everything on earth is useless. He could not marry the woman he loved, or he had no sons.
Whew.
What made Solomon declare that he hated life? He felt abandoned by God. He felt everything on earth is useless. He could not marry the woman he loved, or he had no sons. Bruh, this Solomon moment is a real thing. That's all I have to say.
The there is a Ecclesiastes. Um, so I'm gonna say that vanity and uselessness
Yeah,
seems synonymous to.
he felt everything on earth is useless. Yeah, I feel, except the last two, but the first two, feel them James, bro. Man, so you're gonna say felt everything on earth is useless?
That's what I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with
Trying not to hate life, bro. I feel him on that jump. Yeah,
that.
working on it. That's your
You got
final answer?
yes, sir.
You
I'm gonna
felt
stick with
everything
that.
on earth was useless. Yeah. What you say, preacher? He said he agree with you. Sitting here
All
with
right.
the right reverend.
Yes, sir.
He said all somebody say all is vanity in
All
that ecclesiastical law and submission. Ashley Williams said tricky. Everything on earth is
wow.
useless, and it is in Ecclesiastes. It's chapter 2, verse 17. Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 17. That's where you can find it. All right.
Right.
Question number 4. Why were people, we're going to try to make it to 10, preacher. Why were the people
All right.
urging the Galatians to be circumcised? Why were the people urging the Galatians to be circumcised? All right. They thought that was the only way to enter heaven, to
Okay.
avoid being persecuted for the cross of Christ, in order for them to convert to Judaism or to obey the law.
All right. I think I have my answer.
Why were the people urging the Galatians to be circumcised? They thought that was the only way to enter heaven, to avoid being persecuted for the cross of Christ, to order them in order for them to convert to Judaism or to obey the law? That's a good question.
It's a great
That's
question.
for being in
And
the book.
from what I understand, one of the major themes, if you will, substratum,
Substratum,
Noah
Noel
Jones,
Jones.
uh, Galatians is um, the law versus faith. And I'm going to say the last one in order to essentially adhere to the law.
uh, I see your logic and deduction
Yep.
coming to that conclusion. Yeah. Ashley Williams says she's going to go with the pastor. That was the last question. She's laughing to make sure. Um, quick update on my daughter and the twins. The twins are doing well, and Micah is doing better. She was having some rocky road there for a moment, and still kind of, not completely out of the woods. But
Right.
understand she's going back to the doctor tomorrow. Yeah. My mother told me that, and my mother will be going with her this time to ensure some things.
There you go.
Which one did you say? So you said obey the
And
law. Uh, that's good.
I
You
heard
heard
some
what he
of it. I
said?
ain't hear all of it.
Yeah, he said the Judaizers
You,
wanted them to be circumcised and to convert, and
I
but
know.
all of it was to obey the law. He was saying what your answer was correct, but it was for that reason.
Okay.
Yeah,
So what
to
do we
come under
what's
the
the answer?
law. He was saying to obey the law with you. He's just
Oh,
giving
okay, all
some
right.
context back for that. Uh, to to obey the law. Okay, so let's open it. I don't have my text, but I'm gonna need you all to read it. Oh, I could do it on my thing. We're gonna go to Galatians 6 and 12, and let's look at it. All right. And the correct. And the B portion of verse 12 relates specifically to avoid being persecuted for the cross of Christ.
Oh wow, okay.
Right? The people were urging the Galatians to be circumcised to avoid being persecuted for the cross of Christ.
Okay, good.
Hmm.
Learn something. Didn't know.
Yes.
Hmm.
And the only way to get into heaven, oh, that was what Sister Ashley's answer was. But it is that we just found out, Galatians 6:12, to avoid being persecuted for the cross of Christ. That was a good question too. It could have went either way. I'm sure arguably that we could have kind of found it our choices in our study, just like my dad did, like you did. And but it's that B portion which surmised all of it. You know what I mean? And then down further it went into the law. Right. Yeah, right, right. Right. Right, right.
So similar. I thought they were really trying to be nuanced, but they were just yeah. But
Yeah,
yeah, that
that's a good
his answer
principle.
follows my logic.
Right.
Because you got that whole uh, this concept of works versus grace in Galatians.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Mm-hmm.
said that. But, yep.
Yeah, they say you were frozen. He was, but now he's unfrozen. Uh,
I feel
he's
like I'm.
coming back. Yeah, everybody on the same network at his house. All right, here we go. Why did John the Baptist speak out against Herod? Why did John the Baptist speak out against Herod? Because Herod had married his
All
sister.
right.
Herod had married his sister-in-law. Herod had married his daughter-in-law, or Herod had married more than one wife. Why did John the Baptist speak out against Herod? Because he married his sister, because he married his sister-in-law, he married his daughter-in-law, or he married more than one wife. The Right Reverend Lamel says married his sister-in-law. What say you, preacher?
Took his brother's wife.
Took his brother's wife. That's what Pastor Joe said too. Yeah, which would be, hello,
His
his
sister-in-law. Right.
sister-in-law. Yeah, yeah. He's excuse me. I'm frozen. I was waiting for a second for the chat. They say you're unfrozen. Reverend, can you get me a water right quick? Please, sir. Thank you.
How well do you listen and how well do you hear?
That's
Both
good.
and both are necessary. Yeah, it's in the book. So that's your final answer. The Right Reverend said it too, preacher. He
Yes, sir.
married his
Sister-in-law.
sister-in-law. I was saying the same thing, uh, which is Mark 6, chapter 6, verse 17 and 18. And neither you or the Right Reverend really went in the book. Y'all just kind of knew what knew what that is. Thank you, sir. Yeah, married his sister-in-law. How that work for you? Lee. Even the other choice, your daughter-in-law. How you do that?
Crazy. Where they do that at?
Mm,
I guess
all right. Yeah, in that part. But this is why you got in trouble.
that's right.
So, question 6. Why did Jesus withdraw to the mountains by himself after feeding the crowd of 5,000 men? Here we go again about that withdrawing, going
Yep.
away, being alone.
Yep.
Why did Jesus withdraw to the mountains by himself after feeding the crowd of 5,000 men? He was tired. He wanted to pray so that the tired crowd would dispense, or the crowd wanted to force him to be king. He was tired. He wanted to pray so that the tired crowd could dispense, or the crowd wanted to force him to be king.
Man, that's
Say
very.
he was married, but he wanted to pray.
That's a tough one.
Both ones too.
Reverend say the scriptures say that he was weary, but he went to pray.
See, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm landing.
Uh-huh.
But this forced to be king is ringing in my spirit.
Mhm.
Give me the choices again.
He was tired.
Okay.
He wanted to pray
Where is it?
so that the tired crowd would dispense,
No.
or the crowd wanted to force him to be king. Why did Jesus withdraw to the mountains by himself after feeding the crowd of 5,000 men?
What what did the right reverend say?
He's not. He just kind of scratched his head. He cracked the book, so we get ready to see.
Oh, he got an open book. All
He
right.
he just he grabbed it now.
So I want to get my answer before he gets to the book
Right, right.
because I want to see.
He went to
Uh, I think I think it might be the last one.
So Joe wanted to give his answer before you got to the book, but he's going with the last answer, just so you know, which is the crowd wanted to force him to be king. Pastor is saying that's ringing in his spirit. I'm curious about the chat, but no one is saying anything, which is interesting in itself, right? Uh, to see about this particular, uh, answer.
Right, because I know that he went to pray because they caught him praying,
They
but
caught him praying, right?
I just,
But
I
what was the reason that he left? Which is
yeah.
really the question.
All right, so I'm ready to be to hear the answer.
All right. So he said he read it. The crowd. So you, Pastor, I'm gonna put yours in there. The crowd wanted to force him to be king.
That's what I'm gonna
I
go with.
don't know. Ashley says she didn't hear the question. Why did Jesus withdraw to the mountains by himself after feeding the crowd of 5,000 men? He was tired. He wanted to pray so that the tired crowd would dispense, or because the crowd wanted to force him to be king. Why did he leave? He fed the 5,000. Why did he go to the mountains by himself? Mm. I'm gonna see, preacher, what your answer was about them forcing him to be king, which I think is correct because just think of the story, and then after he does this great thing, they want to elevate him immediately because of their what he just poured into them,
Right,
right? All the other ones are true, but after that, we're talking about the reason
right, right. So
he
like,
went and did those things, and
right,
he was tired, but the reason.
yeah. And so this one is it's a tough question because we know that he went to pray. Like that's undeniable. But this story is in all of the gospels. So you may have a John answer, a Mark. So I don't know.
Right.
I'm going with the King one. I don't know.
All right.
I got it.
Which one you say?
To make him king.
He said he got it to make he first got it to make him king,
John the 6th
and
chapter,
it is
15.
chapter 6, verse 15. I was gonna say that's correct.
And
That is it.
is that John?
Yep, it's John
Yeah,
6:15. I
yeah,
think it's noteworthy to that Pastor Joe said something very important, that it's in this particular story, and all of them are not, but this particular story is in every single gospel.
right,
So their perspectives of them are there, and for context, taking this question to consideration,
You want the
who
verse?
addressed that? Yeah, I said
You got
John
him?
chapter 6,
Yes, sir.
verse
Verse
15.
14.
So it's in Matthew. It's just different in Matthew,
right, right,
but it's in all of them.
right.
Yeah.
All of that.
Yep. And it specifically says that the crowd wanted to force him
Right.
to be king.
Crazy.
How do you force a king to be a king?
You gonna be king or die, I guess.
Yeah, in your limited scope, I guess. All right, question number 7. How does Peter describe his knowledge of Christ? By force. How does Peter describe his knowledge of Christ? Invented fables, stories told to him by the apostles, knowledge of an eyewitness, or prophecy? How does Peter describe his own knowledge of Christ? From invented fables or stories told to him by the apostles, like other apostles told Peter stories, or knowledge. Peter has the knowledge of an eyewitness, or from prophecy.
From his
All right. I know my phone was ringing, so I probably left, but
Oh,
experience with him.
I think I have my answer.
all right.
Peter.
So I'm going to say knowledge as an eyewitness.
Knowledge of an eyewitness. The right Reverend Whitney said the same thing, that Peter would have the knowledge of an eyewitness. He
Go get your
didn't have to resolve two stories
go
told to
get
him by the
your
apostles, not fables or from prophecy.
Yes.
That's your final answer, preacher?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I would agree with you. And I would say, uh, actually said what he said, LOL, what preacher said. That can be found in 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 16. Second Peter's letter, uh, chapter 1, verse 16.
Because it is written,
Because it is
be
written,
ye holy, for
be
I
ye
am holy.
holy, for I am holy.
It's
Re-
true.
You need no, don't get in no
no,
trouble.
we're going to read Second Peter 1 and
Go,
16.
go, go.
Peter 1 and 16.
You
Yes.
need your
It
phone.
says,
Read.
for we have not power obtained by labors, when we
Come
made
on.
known unto you the power and coming of our
Don't get in the
Our
business.
Lord Jesus Christ. But
eyewitnesses
we're
of his
eyewitnesses
majesty.
of his majesty. Second Peter 1 and 16.
Yep.
Very good. Very good. Question number 8. When Paul wrote First Corinthians, Paul, the author of First Corinthians, when he wrote it, what problem was the church in Corinth experiencing?
Didn't we
What was his
ask that
reason?
already?
We did that one, right? On that division.
Oh, oh yes, yes, we did. We did
Yeah.
that one.
Yep.
We did that one.
Yep.
Let's circle back around.
Yeah.
All right. Here we are. Why was Reuben, Jacob's oldest son, Reuben, why was he not given his birthright? All right. Why was Reuben, Jacob's oldest son, not given his birthright? Because
Okay.
he rebelled against his father, because he stole from his father, because of how he treated Joseph, or because he slept with his father's slave woman.
All right. Think I got my answer.
Pastor says he thinks he has his answer, and we're being asked, no, I do not speak Russian, uh, other than a few songs that I know in Russian.
And,
Uh, and actually, wait, let me see. No, not Russian, German. Apologies.
oh,
In German.
Slav.
Um, yes,
I don't speak
not
Russian.
Russian.
I know
No,
the word yet, and that's about it.
that's about it for me too.
Vodka, yet.
Yeah, no Russian. While we're talking about languages briefly, preacher, are you familiar with Jump Speak?
Say it again.
Jump Speak. It's an app, Jump Speak, or a tutorial for language learning.
Uh-huh.
And supposedly they are setting fire to Duolingo.
Oh wow, I've never heard it. Jump.
And saying in 3 weeks you can be fluent in the language.
Oh wow, never heard of it.
3, 4, 5 weeks, yeah. I'm like, wow. So it's an immersive language
Right,
to teaching experience.
right.
So I'm very interested in someone that I know, having it, and I want to, I've always wanted to be a polyglot.
Yep.
Mhm.
Jump. Okay. So to answer the question, I'm gonna go with he slept with his
Polyglot.
father's slave woman.
Slept with his father's slave woman. That's your final answer?
That's
Why
my
was Reuben, Jacob's oldest son, not given his birthright? Because he rebelled against his father, stole from his father, how he treated Joseph, or because he slept with his father's slave woman? Pastor said he slept with that woman. What say you, Reverend Lamel? You looking in the book?
I think I would dare say agree with the fact with Reverend
Is
with
they
Pastor
gonna agree with you, Pastor?
because I think he's right.
And that is correct. It's in First Chronicles. It's found in First Chronicles chapter 5, verse 1. First Chronicles, and that's the story of Reuben, um, and that whole situation. First Chronicles 5 and 1. Clem the Jim says sleeping with a slave.
First
Right.
Chronicles
Yes,
5.
chapter 5, verse 1.
Yeah. Let's see. Sons of Reuben, firstborn of Israel.
Mhm.
He was the firstborn.
defiled his father's bed.
Birthright was
His
given to the
birthright
sons of Joseph,
given to the
the
sons
son
of
of
Joseph,
Israel.
the sons of Israel. There it is.
There it is.
First Chronicles 5:1. All right, preacher. First question number 10. Oh, question number 9, because we had one that doubled up.
Okay.
Why did Jesus say that the disciples could not cast the demon out of the boy mentioned in Mark 9?
All right.
Mark chapter 9. Why did Jesus say the disciples could not cast the demon out of the boy? They did not have enough faith. He was not with them at the time. That kind only comes out with prayer and fasting, or the boy's father did not have enough faith.
I had two answers in
What do you say? Why did Jesus?
there. One and three answer.
They did not have enough faith.
They didn't have enough faith.
Oh, this
And
final
then
comes
all
out
of these things only come through some things only. He explained that to them.
prayer and
Some
fasting.
things only come by prayer and fasting.
You got to pick one though, preacher. Why did Jesus say the disciples could not cast the demon out? It's in Mark 9. This is giving you some context
Here's a
in
context.
chapter in Mark chapter 9, the book.
Because it's funny because if my memory serves me correctly, almost every one of those answers are addressed.
Mhm. Which is what the Reverend was saying here. Pastor said in his memory, all of these are addressed. You know, all the answers are kind of in there.
Oh yeah, little faith. How long do I have to hang
Uh
out with?
huh. Uh
Uh,
huh.
but I believe that he was honing in on
Yeah,
this kind only coming through prayer and fasting. So,
yeah. I
so
was thinking it was that too. Like that's the zero in moment. This kind of only come through prayer and fasting. What'd you say, Reverend Lamel?
All
Prayer is not a choice. Pastor Joe said that kind comes out with prayer and fasting. Yeah, that's Reverend Lamel's resolve too. And that would be correct. And that would be Mark chapter 9, verses 28 through 29. All right. That kind,
Mark chapter 1.
chapter 9, verses 28 and 29. And the answer is that kind.
right,
So you can have different kinds. That's
right.
giving you that clue of that, right?
Verses 28
Yeah,
Uh
through
the
29.
the seven vagabond sons of Sceva were trying to uh approach a certain kind, right? Legion. And that kind did
right,
not require prayer and fasting, but it required, first of all, for you to be recognized.
right.
Paul, I know. Jesus,
We be like,
I know.
who are you, homie? We don't know you like that.
We don't even know you like that. Which by default means you don't know them people that you called on like that. How about that? Yee. You know them. You know of them, but you don't know them.
Right.
Yeah. So that is correct. That kind comes out with prayer and fasting. Yeah, this kind. All right, here we are. The last question. How did Nabal or Nabal die?
Okay,
Nabal. How did Nabal die? His wife drove a stake through his head.
okay,
He looked into the ark of the Lord and died. Or did he die in battle? Or God smote him?
okay.
How did Nabal or Nabal die? His wife drove a stake through his head. He looked into the ark of the Lord and died. Or did he die in battle? Or God smote him?
This is strictly hoping that my memory serves me correctly because I'm not certain of this answer. I'm gonna go with God smote him.
It said he's going straight out the dome, out the muscle that God smote him. What say you, Reverend?
Wait a minute. Hold still.
You say, hold what you got, but hold still. Take
I
your
had
time,
I had
just
to
hurry
answer
up.
before he looked it up, so everybody else.
Right. He was trying to answer before you got the book. He don't have all his materials. We were just talking about that. So he's looking at what he does have.
Uh,
So I remember when the young man did get the thing smote through his head, but I don't
Hmm.
think his wife did that.
25. First Samuel 25.
All right, let's look at it.
God smote him.
Oh, really?
First Samuel, yeah, God smote him.
Let's look at it.
Okay,
First
First Samuel
Samuel.
25. First Samuel
We're
25.
gonna look at it. He got it. First Samuel and with the contact with the scripture.
All right.
First Samuel
25.
25. He coming up on it right now, around the corner.
Around the corner.
All right,
25.
25. And verse what? It was long in here.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Smote, and he died from smoke. 25, 36 through 39. 36 through 39.
All right, sir. Read.
And Abigail came
Read.
to the home
Uh huh.
and told him of the feast in the house
A feast.
and the feast of the king.
Uh huh.
And Nabal's heart was merry within him, for he was very drunken.
Mm.
Wherefore she told him nothing less or more until the morning light.
Mm.
But it came to pass in the morning when the wine was gone out of Nabal, and his wife had told him these things, that his heart died within him,
Mm.
and he became as a stone. And it came to pass about 10 days after, the Lord smote Nabal that he died.
Mm.
There it is.
Whew.
So God smote him.
Yeah,
First
that's
Samuel
what I said.
chapter 25,
Yeah,
verse 38. God smote him.
yeah.
Man, hey, get some get right so God don't smote you.
Don't get smitten.
Don't get smitten.
Smited.
Smited.
That's the word.
Smited, yeah, right. Smited.
Don't get smited. Oh my gosh!
His
Wow.
widow became David's wife.
Mm-hmm. And his widow, you say, became David's wife.
Abigail.
And then David went on and took another man's wife.
Took another man's wife and then had him
And
married.
then had him married. God dog. This was the man after God's heart.
Yeah,
I want to be clear that he was not made like
after God.
right. This is the thing
His
that people are out of
his
context.
his mind, in his heart, he sought God.
And he kept chasing after it
Right,
after
right.
that.
Yeah.
But
Right.
his heart, he did not have the heart of God. He was not, because he did some things. That's a fact.
He was a man that sought God.
Correct. Chasing after God's heart, like a an animal,
Yeah,
a beast after food. Like if you
Right.
uh holding some meat and then had the dog chasing you after that. You
Yeah.
know.
that's the correct context.
Yeah.
Right.
True indeed. True indeed. That's great context.
Yes, sir.
All right, preacher.
Hey.
Let's get
I,
out of here. Our time is far spent.
all right. Well, we appreciate y'all as always. It's good to
We
have
do.
the right Reverend on with us, even off camera.
Indeed. 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 I have to set it up so he'll be in the picture
Yes,
next
sir.
time.
Yes,
And I
sir.
think we can do a triple, you know, on it all together. I will try that, you know.
Yes, sir. I love it.
All right. So we'll talk on it, man. Stay out of the heat and and leave it with the Father.
Leave it with the
Lord.
Father.
Leave it with the Lord.
The best
Mm,
place for it.
man, that's really good. Leave it with the Lord. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
sir.
thank you all for coming. We booming out right now.
We
All
booming
right.
out.
Be not dismayed. Let patience have her perfect work, that you may be entire, perfect and entire, wanting nothing.
Yes.
All right. Love you to life.
We love you to
Talk
life.
to you soon. Peace.
Boom.
Boom. Boom, boom, and boom.